Alright, so I'm going to be playing Highway Blossoms. All I know about it is it's a visual novel that takes place somewhere in America. I think it's in Nevada, but it's about some second gold rush or something. Um, and knowing visual novels, I don't know how family friendly it's gonna look. Oh look, achievement already. Oh shit, it's actually got like video. I wasn't expecting it. Sekai Productions. Oh hey look. I think that's the main character over there. Josh Fire? That's cool. And then there he is again. Whoops. Bond donator. Awsfulous. I haven't played any of the visual novels, so I don't know if that's usually how those things go. For like intros. Oh, I guess I'm clicking now. Do I? Oh, okay, I just click. I've listened to it many times. As the placement of static from the song's original broadcast. Or you would throw on something different, a few loops, but soon enough he'd switch back to the cycle, would repeat itself. Sometimes I think he would do it just to mess with me. Be in the back of the bed, smothering a pillow over my head to block out the music. He would just turn it up louder, even during all-nighters. That was so like him. Even near the end, when we had to finally settle down, he was still pulling that kind of crap. I'd come home from school, sometimes, and the police would be at the door because the entire block had called in a noise complaint. He said it was because he was hard of hearing, but I know he did it just to get a rise out of the old grouches who lived nearby. I think that was his worst fear, ending up just another bitter sack of bones. So he did everything in his power to be the exact opposite, right up until the end. Of course, that meant I would always deal with the fallout. Can't imagine what the neighbors thought, seeing a little girl go door to door, apologizing because some old man decided it would be funny to put plastic flamingos all over their award-winning lawns. I can't help but smile, just a little, even if it does hurt. I take a sip of my coffee. Outside, a heat haze shimmers over the never-ending oceans of sand. So much desert. Even Roswell was just rock, sand, a few shacks. All alien-themed, of course. Didn't see any UFOs, though. I'm not used to how dry everything is. Even with the AC on high enough to rip off my eyebrows, I'm still all sweaty. Guess that's what happens when you laze around in snowy Colorado for a decade. In that regard, the desert is a nice change of scenery. I didn't exactly hate it. New sights are nice, especially since his health didn't allow him to do a lot traveling when I was a little girl. I could see myself getting used to this. Well, maybe if another 15 years when I had everything paid off. Ugh. Damn it, Amber. Snap out of it. You can worry about that later. This isn't your trip, so stop being so selfish. I push the eject button. I take the tape out and look it over, probably for the 20th time today. Years worth of brown stains and greasy fingertips are smudged all over, making it feel grimy to the touch. It still works like a charm, though. There are more cassettes in the glove compartment, a mixture of mine and his. Mostly his. I should just play one of those and get it over with. My hand gravitates towards the latch. It would be okay, right? No. I snatch my hand from the latch and flip the tape over. Once again, I find myself staring. With a sigh, I set it back in the deck. I reach toward the play button, taking another look to see if the road is still clear. Like always, it... Oh, something flashed by. I like that, the text. Isn't... Oh, slam on the brakes. Their shriek piercing my ears. A glance at my rearview mirror shows a girl crying next to an ancient-looking car, covering her ears as I screech down the road. Making a U-turn... Oh wait, was it cringing? It was probably cringing. I misread it. Making a U-turn of dubious legality, I pull up in front of her car, killing the motorhome's engines. Dubious legality. I hop out and shield my eyes from the blazing New Mexico sun. Oh, it's in New Mexico. Only now do I realize how precious the AC really is. It doesn't take more than several steps before the girl comes bouncing up to me with a look of relief. What the fuck is she wearing? Like an apron? Oh my god, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was starting to think no one would ever stop. With each word she gets a little closer, until we're finally within touching distance of each other. Her smiling face now filling my entire field of vision. Jesus, that's really close. Her bright auburn hair is done into girlish sidetail. Is it? Oh, I guess so. Glistening beneath specks of sweat. Standing out in the heat has made her round, pale cheeks a sun-kissed red, but she still looks put together, like the desert would sooner melt her than do any real damage to her looks. I almost feel embarrassed to be in front of someone who dresses so cute, her frilly yellow top and skirt putting my red t-shirt and khakis to shame. What? Red t-shirt and khakis? Who says that's red? It's pretty bad. It's not that fancy. Or nice. It's all brought together by one thing. Her eyes. They're blue, vividly blue. Deep and rich, complementing the traces of her misty perfume as she gets closer and closer. Too close, too close, too close. I scramble back and cough, trying to hide any awkwardness. No problem, says Amber. What's she doing out here alone? Driving through... Hell, is she even alone? I peer off into the plains on the side of the road, half expecting a guy to pop up from his hiding place now that some idiot has fallen for their trap. That idiot being me, of course. But, much to my surprise, no one does. Instead, the girl continues to stare at me, smiling as she patiently waits for my response. I glance behind her, focusing on her car. It does look old. So what's the issue? Your car break down? I think so, yeah. I was driving and it just kind of... Stopped? Yeah. She lowers her head in shame, eyes fixated on her feet, kicking the dust around her. I'm not much of a car buff, but I can take a look at it. Her head pops back up and life returns to her eyes. Oh wow, could you? Yeah. Can't promise that I can do anything, but I can at least check it out. That'd be great. Alright, first things first then. This thing looks even older than my motorhome. It was probably a nice car once upon a time, but with a dented grille, multiple scratches, and faded murky green color, it's hard to believe such a cute girl was driving. I slide into the fabric seat, start the ignition. I don't know too much about how this stuff works, just enough to keep the motorhome from giving out. But I can't imagine it's too significant of an issue. Probably just a dead battery or... That was a heavy sigh. No gas. A single car passes by, cooling us with a refreshing gust of wind, sprinkled with dirt and sand. Is something wrong? Is this a joke? Oh no, did I break it? No. It's just out of gas. What? No way. Dad said I should have filled up before I left. She for real? Why is this girl in the middle of nowhere by herself? As if trying to force all the ideas into the center of her brain, the girl grabs her head and whines with her breath. Oh man, and I didn't charge my phone either. What am I gonna do? I'd offer mine, but I've never had a cell phone in my life. Why? Seems like you'd have to be pretty absent-minded to forget that, though. She whines once more and turns to me. Hey, this might seem a little weird. Oh no. But could you take me somewhere nearby so I can get some gas? And what do you know? He actually did it. How long did you say you've been stuck out here? I don't know. Few hours maybe? I've been trying to wave down everyone who drives by, but you were the first to stop. Hold on. Everyone? Yep. This heat must have her fried her brain. This heat must have her fried her brain. Does she have any idea how dangerous that is? Fucking. It's probably not a good idea, you know. She cocks her head to the side and gives me a look of genuine curiosity. Like it wasn't obvious or something. Huh? Why? Well, you know. Cute young girl alone in the middle of the desert. It's just asking for trouble. Seriously. But you're a cute young girl alone in the middle of the desert? What? Her comeback takes me off guard, and I turn away a little, avoiding eye contact. Yeah, but that's different. A smile returns to her face, the same bright one that she showed me when I first pulled over. I'm still avoiding eye contact, but she leans over to the direction I'm looking and seems to smile. So, do you think you can give me a ride? I don't know. Please? It shouldn't take very long. This girl, it's like she didn't even listen to what I said. Still, better me than some psycho. Besides, it's not like a small detour will make me late or anything. I guess it's fine. I'm not in too big of a rush anyway. Yay! Before I'm even finished, she's springing off the ground, bouncing to the motorhome. Hey, wait! But it's already far too late, and she's somehow made her way into the motorhome before its owner, even finding the time to give me a small wave from the passenger seat. I heave a heavy sigh rubbing my temple as I climb back into the driver's seat. The key is still dangling in the ignition. I wrench it around and the motorhome roars to life, forcing a surprised squeak out of the girl. By the way, my name is Marina. Thank you so much for helping me out. Amber, don't mention it. Careful not to hit her car, I back the RV up and turn it around, sending us in my original direction. I put on my sunglasses and... Why would you put them on now? I put on my sunglasses and reach for the play button on the cassette player, finally giving it into temptation, but Marina starts up again. Why aren't we going the other way? Wasn't there a station a little ways back? It was a bit more than a little ways back. I saw a sign a few miles ago that said there was a station not too far from here, so we're going there. Oh wow, I didn't even see that. You're really observant. Yeah, or you're just really oblivious. Not really. Silence falls upon the motorhome, the roaring of the engine and swishing of the wind from the outside being the only sounds. I take that as my cue and reach for the cassette player once more, finally giving... How do you even drive this thing? It's huge! Marina spreads her arms out like an eagle unfurling its wings, almost bopping me in the head in the process. I clear my throat and grab her arm out from the air, gently placing it on her lap. It's not that bad. You get used to it. She tilts her head to the side and gives a slight grunt, as if saying, That's so. And we return to the silence before. Again, I reach for the cassette player. So what are you doing out here? Are you camping? Seems like what you're doing is fun. She's driving. I take a deep breath and hold it on as long as possible before letting it out. Hold it on? I think they meant did. Just traveling. What about you? Why are you out here? Oh, well, it's kind of silly. She scratches her head and lets out an embarrassed laugh before staring at her feet, quieting down, and surprisingly enough, staying quiet. Well, looks like that worked. I reach for the cassette player one last time. I stop for a moment to look at the glove department, and then Marina, who looks lost in thought, before finally pressing play. Cue the music. Nope. A pleasant little chime greets me as I enter the station, Marina trailing closely behind. The drive was quiet after I turned the music on. Turning the tables on her and asking what she was doing out there seemed to throw her off. I didn't mean to come off as cold as I did. It's just been ages since I've had a conversation beyond accepting some half-hearted condolences. Though, to be fair, I haven't really wanted to hold one. The guy behind the counter is busy ringing someone up, so I set out in search of gas cans. The store is one of those big mini-mart places made specifically for travelers. It's surprisingly clean for a place surrounded by sand. Every corner has an unnatural sanitary shine accompanied by the scent of citrus cleaning product. Hey, they have the cola flavor here. I turn and find Maria clutching the slushy machine. Her eyes widen like a cat's when tempted with yarn. Don't most gas stations have it? She shakes her head, but doesn't take her eyes off that machine. All the places back home only had cherry and raspberry. When we got sick of them, we just had to mix them together. You pour soda in them. But Marina finally turns to me, wearing a face of pure, concentrated sadness. I left my wallet in my car. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just looking at her, I can feel my heart. Wait a second. How are you expecting to pay for the gas? I don't know. I just remembered. How did she last 5 minutes out in the desert? A good question. Fine, I guess I'll pay for it. Really? Yeah. And grab yourself one of those slushies too. But make it a small one. Her pure concentrated sadness melts into pure unconcentrated happiness. You're the best, Amber. She grabs a cup and holds down the button until the slushie overflows and drips down the side. I was going to pay for the gas anyway, but I'm hoping the drink makes up for the drive over. Or because she made her uncomfortable. I spot the gas cans, and with Marina happily sipping from a straw, grab one and head for the counter. The guy at the register is still ringing up the same girl. Lines of flimsy plastic bags line the counter, filled with a mixture of off-brand junk food and gardening tools. He scans the items and this girl digs through her wallet, her bandana wrapped around her head, pressing the phone against her shoulder. What? Bandana girl. Aren't you supposed to be the badass mechanic? Good are you if you're not? She swipes out her card and hands it to the cashier, more interested in staring at. Oh, she's on the phone. More interested in staring at her nails than looking at me. How the hell would I know? Have the squirt check underneath it if you're so curious. On the other end of the line, I can hear the faintest of squabbling. I can't make out anything they're saying, but the tone sounds worlds more tolerable than the girl's. If it's that old, then I say do it. Cash is cash. It's not like anyone's gonna care. You better not take as long as last time, though. I'll be waiting for your slackers outside. The girl slips her phone back into the crevice of her dangerously unzipped jumpsuit. Which crevice? It is literally off. Like, it's probably just connected at the base. What little clothing she has on underneath looks like it's going to burst from the slightest movement. Not my type, especially with that personality. But it's hard for me to do anything on the others, other than stare. The attendant reaches out to help with the bags, but the girl snaps them away before he can. She shoots him with a hated glare that burns straight through the man and into the wall behind him. Turning around, the girl looks at us for a second before rolling her eyes, then marches out the door, the bags weighing her down as they nearly scrape the ground. Yeah, definitely not my type. So clearly, lesbian. And if what I know of visual novels, also a lesbian. Also, probably a lesbian. Good luck! Marina and I set the can and nearly empty. The music turned off. Marina and I set the can and nearly empty the slushy machine on the counter. Will that be all? Yeah. Sorry if we're more boring than that other girl. The attendant hacks out a dry cackle and scans the gas can. He flicks his oily ponytail behind his shoulder and then brings up Marina's drink. Been a lot of folks passing through and stocking up the past few days. It's been a good change of pace. I'm guessing that's why you girls are here too? Marina eases in towards the counter, nudging herself tightly between me and the rack, her hands creeping over to the slushie. For what? I'm just heading out to California. If I don't end up driving myself insane first. You mean you don't know? The attendant freezes, forgetting about the scanners in his hand. Blinding red lights beam from it onto my chest. About what? Why the treasure? Marina's hand stopped just shy of grabbing the cup. Treasure? The clerk's chubby face morphs into a grin. You telling me that you girls haven't heard of the treasure in the journal? I have. I frown, embarrassed. Marina looks at the floor again, her cheeks flushing red. I guess she's always just this forward. Well, I heard about it on the news. It's kind of why I drove down here. You drove out into the middle of the desert for treasure? Sorry, but you've lost me. Not just any treasure, Missy. The miner's treasure. He says it like that should clarify what he meant. I stare at him. He stares back. Marina sips the last dregs of her slushie. Jesus, she's fucking pounding it down. You honestly don't know? Not a clue. Are you gonna change that? A little feisty, ain't ya? Not really. Just have stuff to do. Fair enough. A little while back, some folks were going through all the trash in their garage. As fate would have it, they came across an old journal. Turns out the thing belonged to their great-uncle. Or maybe it was their great-grandfather. I don't know. Some dead old man. I cut him off with a cough. A polite hint for him to either get on with it or quit his yammering. Despite apparently knowing all of this, Marina continues to with rapt attention. What? Sometimes her drink makes that annoying slurping sound again. Didn't have it in the game, so I made it. Sorry, I'll try keeping it short. Anyway, after flipping through it, they found out that he'd struck it rich during the gold rush. If he struck it rich, then wouldn't the family know about it? They'd have to be plenty well off, right? Oh, I can answer that. He went back home to Missouri without any gold and told all of his friends he hid it. By now the slushie is all gone. Marina tries for one last sip, but all that is stuck through the straw is air. She peers down into the cup and blows out a small sigh. No one believed him, though. I raised an eyebrow. If even this girl knows about it, then I must be more out of the loop than I thought. Well now, looks like Sister here's been doing her research. Mm-hmm. The attendant leans into the counter and smirks. Story goes, he wanted to eventually move his family out west and dig his gold back up along the way, but kicked it before he could. He slides his thumb along his neck and makes a cheesy sound effect to go with it. Marina giggles, but I just keep staring. The folks that found the journal ended up selling it to some hotshot publishing house. Now everyone wants to retrace his steps and find the treasure. Shipments have been selling like hotcakes. Just got ours last week. Points to the rack of identical books sitting by the door. A sign hanging above it reads, Treasure of the Desert, A Miner's Journey. Take part in the new gold rush. Yeah, that'll stick in people's heads. And people are really buying into this? Sure are. I've worked here for over 20 years, and never have I seen this many people passing through. Even the Banshee before you was here for some supplies and a journal. Sure, okay. This is a hoax if I've ever seen one. And where is this supposed treasure? No one knows. It's all scattered around the desert. They say the journal has hints to its whereabouts. Uh-huh. Marina, you said this is why you drove out here? Yep, that's right. But you don't really believe the treasure exists, do you? Sure I do. She pauses to think. At least, I want to. But wouldn't it be super cool if there was treasure? Sure it would be cool. But there's a good chance it isn't. And even if it were, do you know where to start looking? No, not really. I've never got that far. I didn't even have a copy of the journal. She lowers her head, like she knows there's a good chance what I'm saying is true. But I have to try. Her voice is soft and quiet, but there's a faint glow of determination behind it. It makes me feel ashamed for scolding, but the idea that she dropped everything for treasure is insane. To her credit, she did a little research, but that's cancelled out by driving into the desert without a full tank of gas. She wasn't prepared at all. The people who care about her must be worried sick. I barely even know her, and I'm worried. Don't be too hard on her, Missy. After all, who can resist a good treasure hunt? He looks to Marina and gives a big gummy grin, courtesy of his missing teeth. I only see one missing. Ain't that right, sister? Marina springs back with her smile of her own. That's right. Rolling my eyes, I reach into my pocket and pass some crumbled bills to the clerk. Yeah, well, I'll believe when I see it. He shrugs and stuffs the cash in the register, though now I'm just paying for the tank and an empty cup. I pocket the change. I give a casual wave from the exit. That should be a good enough thank you. Marina follows, though a bit more animated, waving her arm like a fan as she says goodbye. Oh, and sister. Yeah? You go ahead and take one of them journals. Free of charge. Really? Marina lights up like a firecracker and bounces up and down like she's a kid again. Yup. Oh wow, thanks, mister. In one swift motion, she swipes one of the remaining books off the rack so fast that I swear my eyes are skipping frames. Hey, Amber, look! He gave me one for free! Yeah, I see it. I tune out her chattering and nod as we walk out to the parking lot so we can finally get the fuel. The attendant shouts one last thing, his voice fading behind the glass of the closing door. Good luck on your trip! ... Desert people are weird. No way. Maybe it's further up the road. Oh, she got fucking robbed, didn't she? I can't believe it. It's gone. We could have just passed it. We weren't even away that long. How could it be gone? We stare at the empty space that once housed a certain ugly green car. Oh, the girl's car got robbed. I look in every conceivable direction, but there's nothing. Nothing but an ocean of sand and never-ending stretch of road. Was it towed? No, not out here. Not this quick. Where the hell did it go?
Yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it?
Marina's hands rest against her cheeks as she looks on with only mild confusion, like she's trying to solve a small mystery.
Your car is missing. That's more than a little weird. Well, it's actually my big brother's car. He just lent it to me when he left for college.
Oh, well that makes everything better then.
Really? No.
I let out a heavy sigh and pressed my fingers to my temple, something to massage away the stress and irritation. It was probably stolen. We'll need to call the police. You have a phone, right?
I do, but...
Her voice trails off a cliff. What she said earlier echoes in my head. That's right, you said it was dead. And I'm guessing you left it in your car.
Yeah.
Well, that's just great.
Don't you have one?
Nope, never needed one.
Afraid no one would call you?
Not quite. I shield my eyes and look up at the dry sky. Its color has shifted to a glowing orange as the sunset begins to settle over the distant valley peaks. Oh, you know what? They were talking about it's like old or whatever. The car, the chick on the phone. So that means the other dude or whatever took it. Or chick, whoever the fuck she was talking to. It's going to get dark pretty soon.
Don't worry, Amber. I would call you.
I can't just leave her. Even if she did have her phone, it would take forever before anyone could get out here. She'd go from burning up into the heat to freezing out in the cold within a few hours. Plus, if there are people around who would steal cars, then there's no telling who else is out here. I can already see how all this would go down. She would be huddled on the side of the road trying to keep warm. A pack of coyotes would be howling all around her, closing in. Then, from down the road, a starved creep would pull up in a trashy old pickup truck, open his door for her, and... Oh god. Hey, where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm from Carlsbad.
She pauses for a moment.
Or at least kinda close to it. It's a little out of the way.
Carlsbad? You're from California?
No, silly. Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Oh, right. Had me going there for a second. How far's that?
Maybe 2 hours from here?
Wow, you didn't get very far at all, did you? Marina lowers her head in shame.
I never really seem to.
Though, I'm not really one to talk. I've been on the road less than a day. Would have gotten further if traffic on the I-40 wasn't such a pain in the butt. Or if I didn't pick up Marina. Hey, listen. You don't live too far away. If you want, I can probably give you a lift back home. I prep myself for an explosion of thankful energy and excitement, but there isn't one. Instead, she continues to stare at the ground, her hands now balled up in fists as she fidgets ever so slightly. Something wrong? She shifts her gaze from the ground and looks me straight in the eyes, drawing a deep, long breath.
Remember the treasure we're talking about at the store?
Yeah?
I know it's a lot to ask, and you've already helped me out so much already. But do you think you could take me the first place the treasure is?
Huh? She wants to keep going? Even after this entire disaster?
The treasure! Could you take me to the first... I heard you the first time. It's just... You don't even know if this thing is real, but you've dropped everything to go look for it. And now you're asking me, someone you've just met out in the middle of the desert, to take you to it? Even though you don't know if it's real and have just had your car stolen? Did I catch all that?
I read that all wrong.
Uh-huh.
Shameless. I'm at a loss for words. How do I even respond to that? I try to recollect my thoughts, but only one word comes to mind. Why? Marina shrugs. Nothing more than that. She just shrugs. I take a look at her, a good look. Her wavy hair has been dried out by the hot desert's air. Her face is red and drenched in sweat, probably close to melting off her makeup. Even her nice clothes are a little wrinkled. Despite all that, this cute, peppy girl wants to keep pressing on. Even when the most people would have just called it quits after the car broke down. Even out here, all by herself. For all I know, she could be some weirdo out to mug me, and this is all some elaborate scheme. But she wants my help. My help. It's been a while since anyone has needed that. It's like an honor. Do I deserve that? Probably not. But she's still asking. Why should I say no? I don't have to be in California for another week. And isn't that why I'm taking this trip? See the sights for him? She's a little excitable, and even more naive. But maybe I need a little bit of that. It's a lot better than just being out here all by myself with nothing but the ghosts of my memories to keep me company. Even if it's just for a little while. Why the hell not? Hop in.
For real?
Yeah, for real. But only until the first location. After that, the breath is forced out of me by the sharp impact of Marina tackling my stomach. A warm but damp sensation wraps itself tightly around me as dead weight snuggles up against my chest.
Thank you, 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 thank you. What are you doing? I'm hugging you, silly.
My cheeks grow warmer with each passing second. I try to wiggle my way out, but she stays latched on, her grip getting tighter and tighter. Marina, please. You're all sweaty.
Oh, sorry. I'm just super happy.
She unlatches herself, letting me clear my throat and recollect myself. Anyway, let's get inside. I'm burning up out here. We clamber back inside the motorhome, leaving the dry hellishness behind. I turn the ignition and let the AC blast away the RV's stuffiness. Letting out breaths of sweet relief, Marina and I collapse back into our seats. Alright, so where's the first place of the treasure?
Well...
You have no idea, do you?
That's not true. The news said a part of it was somewhere here in New Mexico. Probably.
I'm not surprised at all. Should have seen this coming. You have the journal?
Yeah.
She hands the cheap paperback to me. The cover feels like it could fall apart at the turn of the page. The whole thing is fitting of its rustic design. I slide my thumb across the edge and flip through the pages. Thick forwards and passages commenting on the journal's historical significance skip past my eyes, most long enough for them to be their own book. Finally, a photocopied picture of one of the original entries appears, preserving the faded cursive letters the entire thing printed on the next page over. Crusting bronze stains and wrinkles engrave the photo. Some of the writing has been scratched out too, like someone made mistakes and couldn't erase them. I hate to admit it, but for something that's probably a sham, the thing looks pretty authentic. Oh, this is like the sheet. With bounty and satisfaction in hand, I am now homeward bound. Perilous journey forthcoming. Through my unrivaled intellect and unmatched ambition, I have succeeded in accomplishing what many believed would no longer prove profitable. course, this only comes as a surprise to those around me, not myself. I had traveled this way on the trail with many others from Missouri Territory, but as my typical characteristic success grew, I could sense the envious stares amongst my so-called peers. The dangers eventually became so great that I wished to flee, but my companions left before I woke. For what reason, you may ask? I don't know. It is with this in mind that I have taken it upon myself to leave a note for one of my fellow prospectors and to borrow his steed so that I may one day return to settle with my family. But if this journey... What the fuck? That's fucking great. That's fantastic right there. Yeah, I'm not reading all this crap. Where should I actually start? Let's see. If he left California, lived in Missouri, and supposedly hid something in New Mexico, like Marina said, then what we're looking for is likely a later entry. Ah, here we are. Alas, I have reached the final point of division in my travel. The music just reminded me of a fucking cutout. It's fucking great. Alas, I have reached the final point of division in my travels. During my stay among the ruined sanctuary, the rogue native Lamasi had informed me of a landmark that was rich in the mythos of his people. Considered sacred, he said that the chance of gold being discovered would be very slim. He referred to it as a winged rock, a monument erected toward the skies. After my previous detour, I have finally arrived. It is with much disbelief, I must say, my friend Lamasi was right. It is not just a monument erected toward the skies, it's a mountain, almost as if the Lord himself had struck up the earth among the sand. It is guarded by trails of rocks around it, all branching from the mother rock. On this journey I have encountered many different sights, dangers, and yes, even an occasional friend. As I look upon the mountain before me, I am reminded once more that there are things bigger and greater than I. Although I am not yet rid of this cough, my soul has been humbled, removed of fatigue. I can think of no better place to store the last of my gold, and I anxiously await the day I return.
What does it say?
The gist of it is it's near a big rock and a bunch of little...
That should be narrowed down, right?
Yeah, to the entire state of New Mexico. Marina gasps and lunges towards the journal, the muscles in her neck tense and eyes wide with panic.
That can't be the only thing he mentioned. There has to be more.
I raise the journal high above me so she can't reach it, using my hand as a blockade against her as she desperately tries to grasp for it.
Sheesh. Relax for a second. I actually have a pretty good idea of where it might be.
She settles down, still stiff with anxiety, nibbling on the tip of her thumb. I lower the book back down and read over the entry one more time just to make sure. There's a part where he calls it a winged rock. Assuming my years of reading travel guides and brochures weren't totally useless, then I'm pretty sure that's a loose translation of the Navajo used to call a shipboat.
There's a ship out in the desert? Whoa!
I peer over the journal. Marina's imagination is going bonkers. Her eyes alight as she tries to wrap her head around such a novelty even existing.
How long have you lived in New Mexico?
Marina swells up with pride, only to deflate like a balloon before speaking, instead choosing to blow a misplaced strand of hair out of her way.
All my life.
I sigh and slam the journal shut. It's a small mountain near the border of New Mexico and Utah that's vaguely shaped like a ship.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. Thing's a landmark.
Yeah. But hey, at least I know now.
Shrugging, I put the journal away and smirk. Misplaced as it might be, her cheeriness is a good mix-up from the norm.
Do you think the treasure might be there?
Don't know, but it's worth a shot. We don't have anything else to go on. Sure you don't want me to just take you home? Marina hesitates for a moment, turning to the windshield as if to dodge the question with her eyes.
No, I think I want to do this.
Alright then. I put the car in drive and look ahead. Alright, well, that's probably it for this one episode. So Amber found Marina. Marina's like 5 in her head. And they're gonna go looking for treasure. Also, Marina's car got stolen. Most likely from the mechanic woman in the store. And so they're gonna head off to that ship rock thing, and we'll see if they find anything. There's a lot of reading for all that. All right.